before the weekend, it was, hey, $100 million opening weekend and $120 million Memorial Day. That's what everyone was talking about. Then after Friday came out, the estimates just started shooting up. You're like, wow, maybe there's some positive momentum. Everyone in the media was saying the same thing. $105 million 3-day, $134 million 4-day was the expectation. Of course, no one in the mainstream media wanted to talk about the international number, which was projected to only make around 80 million, which did not look like it had any momentum and continued to get worse and worse, especially in places like Asia. But then, what do you know? We get the actual numbers. Little Mermaid reels in 95 million 3-day box office opening, but is sinking overseas. Only made $68 million. To put that in perspective, that's about half as much as Aladdin made internationally, which is important when you're comparing these movies that were both released on Memorial Day weekend. It tells you that international audiences are not interested in this across the board, whether it's in Europe, South America, Asia. People are rejecting this movie overseas, and even here even here domestically, it sure slowed down because now we have the official $117.5 million Memorial Day debut. I do not know if we have the official Monday numbers or not. That could slightly change, which is kind of important because it could actually mean it's Memorial Day numbers less than Aladdin's, depending on how that official number comes in. But I mean, yeah, this movie did not get received well internationally, and it didn't get received as well domestically as people thought. So it's definitely a disappointment. And that international number, let's just look at this, Jeremy. $68 million at the international box office. Aladdin opened to about $120 million.
Yep.
But look at Aladdin overall. Look at what this movie did. It made twice as much internationally as it did domestically. And that's the same way with a lot of these Disney live action remakes. Same thing with Lion King. That's what allowed this thing to get to $1 billion. If things track the same, and it probably will fall off even worse for Little Mermaid, to be quite honest with you, but even saying it tracked the same and made half the international number, this is still a movie that will struggle to reach $700 million and not break even for Disney.
Yep. You know, it's real easy to dismiss America as a, racist country because they don't like when films like something like Ghostbusters underperforms or something with identity politics underperforms at the box office or whatever. Suddenly everybody's racist. America is the most racist country in the world or whatever. The reality of it is America's probably the most accepting of this, identity politics BS, because around the world, people are they tend to reject this type of stuff. And it seems like people around the world internationally are rejecting this race swapped Little Mermaid. That says more about Disney is continuing to lose momentum in places that they have historically utilized very well. Something like Aladdin had no business. Again, I say this as someone, I didn't see the Aladdin movie, but I didn't hear anything great about Aladdin. All right, but whatever. People apparently enjoyed it around the world, and it did okay domestically. Same with the Lion King. While I think the Lion King was a terrible movie, what did it make $1 billion internationally? That fundamentally changes the conversation around this film. Because if Lion King would have had a bad international run, then that changes the whole entire discussion around it. So Little Mermaid right now, without that international audience, this could be a loss. And hopefully it will be a loss because, again, this movie deserves nothing. It does not deserve a profit. It does not deserve any type of recognition other than being a completely garbage movie based on identity politics that should be widely rejected across the board, in my opinion.
And they have gone all out when it comes to marketing for this. There was a report out that their kind of promotional campaigns, partnering with, other brands and things like that, like, not Walmart, but like McDonald's and stuff like that, was at an $80 million just for those promo partnerships, which is higher than any other Disney live action remake we've ever seen, which is only less than a couple like Star Wars and Marvel movies that are out there. So the marketing for this movie is going to be an insane number, probably like $150 million. They were desperate to try to get this thing out there, and internationally, it's not paying off for them. Already, the excuses have started. This was yesterday. The Little Mermaid splashes to $164 million global bow, $50 million less, more than $50 million less than Aladdin, by the way. But there's something fishy overseas as Disney pick beset by review bombing.
Here it goes.
And we've talked about the differences between the all audience versus the verified audience scores. We've seen what's happening on a site like Metacritic. It's getting fucking destroyed right now. But IMDb has done something just very blatant. IMDb, it's at a 7. You're like, huh, that's not too bad over on IMDb. Well, look at right here. Unusual activity. Our rating mechanism has detected unusual voting activity on this title. To preserve the reliability of our rating system, an alternate weighting calculation has been applied. Essentially, what this means is if there's a lot of negativity, we're just not going to count in as much.
Yep, that's it.
Because you can see, man, there's a lot of 10-star reviews for this thing, isn't there?
A lot of positive reviews.
A lot of positive.
Yeah,
I'm sure those are
positive
all real.
review bombing. Positive review. Toxic positive review bombing.
There's also a lot of negatives.
There's a lot of negatives.
But look at this. This is what if you don't take the weighting, their display into account, what does this say? 4.7. Very close to what the fan rating is, or the all audience over on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yep.
But it's crazy. We're gonna see a lot of this stuff. There's already been excuses made why it flopped in China. It flopped in China because of racism. Despite that Fast X has made $100 million there. That's a very diverse cast, isn't it?